I'm Kurt Smith, and welcome to App Talks, a series of conversations with Salesforce customers on how using business apps from the App Exchange can help you manage all aspects of your business. Today we're here with Healthwise to talk about how they modernized their quote-to-cash system and their revenue management systems with Apttus. So welcome to App Talks.
Thank you.
Jason, let's start with you. Can you tell me a little bit about Healthwise?
Yeah, thanks, Kurt. So I'm our Chief Client Officer, and I'm responsible for our customer experience, our brand, and of course our top line. And Healthwise is in the business of helping people make better health decisions. So we're a not-for-profit organization, been here for 40 years, quite successful. We advocate for you, for me, for all of us. We advocate in DC, we advocate in your doctor's office, and we make sure that you have what you need to make the best health decisions. So 1.6 billion health decisions to date have been made and made better by Healthwise.
That's fantastic.
I joined Healthwise about 2 years ago as the Senior VP of Finance at a time when the company was really positioned for significant growth, expecting about 40% growth in top-line revenue in a 5-year period with an expectation that we would hold costs constant. And so no growth in our resources and our staff to support that important growth, at least from the back-end operations side.
A very daunting challenge.
Indeed, it was.
And how did you get started with Salesforce and Apttus?
Well, the journey with Apttus started with quote-to-cash. Upstream of that, we started with Salesforce because we needed one source of truth. And we needed that all-important 360-degree view of the client. And so that's how we got started with Salesforce. And then very quickly, because of all of the manual quoting that we were doing, we identified Apttus as kind of a best-in-class and have seen great progress with that to date and actually been able to, reduce our manual processes quite a bit.
That's fantastic. The sales team had started with Salesforce and Apttus, and how did the finance team get involved? What did it, when you started, what was the...
Right. So when I came in, I inherited very manual processes. I had, a relatively small staff doing manual invoice data entry into the ERP from these very complicated client files in these thick folders we refer to lovingly as our blue folders, and in some cases, multiple blue folders per client because of the vast complexity of their licenses. They license content from us, buy solution services from us, so very complicated engagements. And I was sitting in the CEO's office about 6 weeks into my tenure, and he said, what's going well, what's not going so well? And I said, well, I'm really impressed with the commitment this organization has made to have Salesforce be the backbone, not just from a CRM perspective, but through quoting and really using it to manage the front-end customer lifecycle. But I have no automation of that kind on the back end. I have nightmare on Excel Street. We're trying to manage all of our processes in this complex web of Excel spreadsheets. And if you really want scalability without added cost, I need to find a way to bring that kind of automation to the finance team as well. And I'd love to do it inside of Salesforce. To which they, of course, said, but Salesforce is for sales. And I said, well, it isn't anymore just for sales, and I'd like to explore that.
And so what did you do next? How did you get past that initial blockade of you can't do anything but just sales and Salesforce?
So a colleague of ours who'd been working actively on the CPQ product said, come with me to Accelerate. I want you to see the solutions that Apttus offers. So I remember the defining moment and the slide, I can still see it on the screen, that was such an aha moment for me where I saw the depiction of CPQ, which is one tool, and CLM, which is another tool, revenue management with these supporting solutions including workflow and XAuthor, all together built as a quote-to-cash solution and harnessing the power of not individual apps, which of course are powerful in and of themselves, but truly the power of using all of those applications together to create a true quote-to-cash solution for Healthwise. Felt like a cartoon with the little bubble above my head, and I went back with this vision of what we could accomplish together with Apttus.
Fantastic. And what were some of the initial results when you started using Apttus farther on than just the CPQ process?
So when we did our first implementation on new client contracts on the quote-to-cash system, we had 100% user adoption with 85% of our new client quotes going through the system unassisted within 2 weeks. So we were able to really harness that power and use the capability for the quote-to-cash system almost immediately.
Wow, that's amazing. And Jason, how did it impact the sales team?
Yeah, so I mean, a part of the quoting process that we completely revolutionized allowed us, because at the same time we were moving from an a la carte product sales organization to a solution sales organization where we put multiple products together to solve these really big problems for our clients. The complexity of putting together those packages, making sure the pricing is accurate, making sure that all the promises that we're making in those quotes, that was all 100% manual, it just wasn't possible. It wasn't possible for us to do that. Once we automated it, we were able to see really 3 times increase in average sales price because we're moving from products to solution sales, and that wouldn't be possible with a manual process. It had to be automated.
So I want to go a little bit deeper and find out more about how Apttus helped transform both of your teams. Let's start with the implementation. You touched on it a little bit, but can we go a little deeper?
Sure. When we started into the implementation and the vision of quote-to-cash, once I'd sold those executives that this was the right thing to do, then I had to go sell my accountants. And they looked at me like I had lost my mind. And I sat down with my accounting manager and I said, come with me on this journey and let's do it together. And if we find that it's not possible, we'll work through those things together. But trust me. She did, and she said, okay, and she came along. And fast forward about 3 months into our process, and for reasons independent of Healthwise, she needed to retire to take care of some personal issues. And she looked at me and she said, Dara, I need to retire. I can't work full-time anymore, but I can work part-time. And I am so committed to this project and the vision of what this will deliver to Healthwise that I would like to stay on as project manager and the business lead from finance for this project to see it through to completion. Because the person who had my biggest skeptic and not sure this was going to work had become absolutely the biggest cheerleader and supporter of the project.
That's fantastic. How has it impacted the sales team?
Well, again, it's all about throughput, scalability, and consistency, and so those are the big wins. And I can't underscore the consistency aspect enough because, from a brand support perspective, just making sure the messaging is consistent, the pricing is accurate and consistent, and the configurations are consistent, so that our downstream implementation teams aren't pulling their hair out. That's really the big win.
And for your customers?
We've seen our customers' client satisfaction scores grow, and I can't say that I attribute it all to what we're talking about today, but it certainly has been a huge impact. And we've seen that our implementations are emerging from the process very successfully. So.
Fantastic.
I think the consistency of the data is really important, and we realized the value of pulling that complex data, not just out of the ERP, but as far upstream as possible, so that teams across the organization were sharing the same source data, not having to 5 and 6 teams comb through that same 50 to 60 page contract to find that one data element, hopefully interpreted correctly, so that they could deliver on their piece of the project, but really codifying that data so early upstream harnesses our ability to streamline all of those processes for people to get exactly the information that they need to do their job, and importantly, for us to start turning data into information that as business managers we can start really harnessing to improve our business over time.
And what do you see for the future?
For the future, it really is optimizing that ecosystem, that true end-to-end quote-to-cash solution with those supporting applications that will allow us to improve our workflows, improve our interfaces for other key elements that are part of the project. For me, the workflow capabilities inside of Apttus are critically important, both to help the process move smoothly, but also to help us manage our controls. Something, as the senior finance officer of the organization, very near and dear to my heart, for sure.
Absolutely.
I think from my perspective, it's all about the client life cycle. And Dara just mentioned it, but the increase in visibility and transparency for everybody who is managing an account. And again, moving from a la carte products to solution-type sales with a lot of services and consulting that comes with it, our client-focused teams are bigger than ever. And so the fact that they all have the same information, it really allows me to go in and start picking the client lifecycle apart phase by phase and making sure it's excellent at every step.
And by turning this data into information that we're working together to make better business decisions, it's not just at the leadership level. Even at my individual contributor level on my team, those roles are transforming from being transactional accountants to business analysts and partners with the sales team, with our services team, to understand what that information is telling us about the business, what that information is telling us about our clients, and what we need to do to make it better for Healthwise and for our clients.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's great, especially the combination of both the teams. That's wonderful. I want to bring Nick in from Apttus to show us a demo of Apttus in action.
Thanks, Kurt. Remember, Apttus is the only single vendor to offer the entire suite of quote-to-cash applications 100% natively to the Salesforce platform. Let's take a peek at what that looks like. As you can see here, I'm directly logged into Salesforce as Andrew North, a seller with Tier 1 systems. They sell hardware and software. I'm immediately realizing the value of having my CPQ configure price quote applications natively in Salesforce, as you can see with these dashboards that tell me exactly where I am and where my company is as far as the quotes that are in flight. Of course, as a seller, I'm working with my account, and today we're going to be taking a look at Venture Industries, one of our newer customers. Directly on the account record, I have a full 365-degree view of that customer, and Apttus is giving me full insight into all the contracts that I have with Venture. So I'm seeing my NDA. I'm also seeing contracted pricing that I have. As we go through the configurator, Apttus Contract Lifecycle Automation will make sure we're getting the right prices for those products. Of course, I have my opportunities, and we have one opportunity here with Venture for $60,000, and you can see I already have a proposal in the system, and as I went through quoting with Apttus, it automatically synchronized those products and the prices with the opportunity. Of course, I want to sell more products and services, and my customer is interested in some of our software, our CRM suite. So I'm now on the Apttus quote where I have full view into the entire history of my quote with this customer, and I want to configure products and add some services to this quote. Right now what we're going to see is the Apttus product catalog for Tier 1 systems. You can see they sell hardware, services, and software. I'm going to drill into our sales CRM category. Very easy to navigate this product catalog. I'm going to add that they want 50 licenses of our sales CRM corporate product and add those to the cart. Immediately, configuration rules are going to be run, and in this case, it's saying that I must sell one of our success support services with the addition of that product. Great, I'm happy with that. I know my customer is interested in one of those products. We can quickly see from this screen all the products and services that I have added into the quote. That's the configuration piece. Let's roll over into the pricing. I'm going to update some of these quantities, and I could also apply a discount on the line item or the total now, and I'm going to reprice this quote. As I reprice, we're checking for matrix-based or tiered-based pricing. And remember, we're supporting subscription or for our billing. We're supporting standalone products and services, and we're also supporting usage-based pricing as well. Great, I'm happy with this quote. I'm going to go ahead and finalize this configuration. Now you can see we're going to land back on the quote header where we have all of our information around our proposal, and it's very easy for us to generate a customer-facing proposal document. As we generate, we dynamically assemble this document to make sure that we're including all the right customer-facing, product-specific, and marketing materials on this quote. And I can see all my products and services neatly laid out there. Back on my quote header, my customer is happy with the proposal, and I'm going to go ahead and accept this quote. As I accept, we're automatically updating the opportunity record with those products and services that we've added to the proposal. We can see that by drilling back into our opportunity. I can see that the products have been updated, the amount has been updated on my opportunity, and now I'm ready to actually bill this customer. So I'm going to drill into the account record. And by accepting that quote, we've immediately created a series of billing schedules so that we can invoice this customer. And I've also created an order automatically, and that order is activated. On that order, we're showing ARR, MRR, and total contract value as well. Now I'm going to preview invoices to see exactly what my customer is going to be paying over their life cycle. And what we can see is a big spike in revenue at the beginning, the first month of this year. And that's because we have that standard price hardware as well as a standard one-time consulting fee. As we look to the next months, we can see that the subscription is rolling out. One thing that I really like is the ability to filter down the revenue by product. And I'll do that and notice that we're automatically prorating this subscription software at the beginning of our term and at the end of our term. All right, great. Back on our account record, we can see that we've automatically generated an invoice as well. I'm going to go ahead and drill into that invoice. And you can see we have the usage fees, consulting fees, standard price, and the subscription fee for this first month invoice. Of course, just like with the quote, we can easily generate a customer-facing invoice document. Here's an example here. I've got all the line items and all the values associated with those products and services. Back here on our account, we can now see all of the agreements, the Apttus agreements associated with this account. Obviously, our opportunities, our accepted quote proposal, our orders, and I can see all of the asset lines associated to this customer. So all the products that they own, making it very easy to upgrade, increment, amend, or terminate products and services. So using these Apttus quote-to-cash applications, we were able to configure the right products at the right prices, make sure we had the right terms and conditions from our contracts, and bill our customers with the right payment terms, regardless of the charge types associated with the products. That's the value of having full quote-to-cash, 100% native on the Salesforce platform with Apttus. Thanks for your time.
One of the things we like to do at Apttus is have some peer-to-peer knowledge sharing. So if I was in your shoes 2 years ago like you were, but I am now, what advice would you give me? How would I get started?
I would give the advice to make sure you understand the importance of building a foundation, and a really strong foundation, and understanding the journey that you're on and the target you're headed for, and being very thoughtful to make sure what data elements you need, and building that foundation and investing to build in that foundation. You need to make sure you get it right. I think the second thing I would say is it's really important to understand that, especially when you've come from a manual environment, you may need to optimize processes in your own organization in order to optimally implement the solution. And we had a real commitment early on from the very beginning that we really wanted to leverage configuration capabilities and minimize, if not eliminate completely, customization. Because we knew the cost of customization long-term and ability to maintain and grow that solution and expand it was just crippling to the organization. So as a result of that, we've partnered together across the organization and across our broader leadership team to understand the best practices and workflows that are embedded within this tool set, this quote-to-cash solution, and where necessary, change how we do our work so that we could capture the value of that optimization. So that lesson really is be willing to consider the changes you need to make to your business to truly optimize, and make sure you build in the time to allow for that to happen as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I can't underscore enough the solidarity, the ability for multiple teams to come together with a shared vision. So the fact that Dara and I can partner together, I've got the client-facing teams, and Dara has the finance team, and to have a common vision between those two teams, along with the rest of our leadership peers, I mean, that's the critical step right there from my perspective.
Well, that's great advice. Thank you both very much for being here today. I enjoyed speaking with you. And thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you on the next App Talks.